Hi everybody, this is Andrew with Garthakian Gaming, and today's video is just going to be a basic overview of Gencon 2013, which I'm sure most of you are aware just happened this last weekend. I had a really good time this year. What I immediately noticed first off was that there just felt like there was more available for people who are into miniatures games, whereas in years past Gencon always felt to me more oriented towards like board games, card games, role-playing games, with a few miniatures companies mixed in there. Of course, Privateer Press for the last 10 years having been there every year as the one exception. So that was definitely a welcome surprise to me as a miniatures gamer. But I'm also into board games, a couple of card games, and some role-playing games. So overall, Gencon is definitely the place to be if you like to dabble in all different kinds of gaming, like I do. So what I'm just going to do today in this video is show you some of the things that were available this year at Gencon that might not be available just yet, but will be coming out in the next few months. So we'll just go ahead and get started. I have a whole pile of stuff down here I'm going to show you guys, and the hopes are to do individual videos for each of these things. Some of these things I'm going to try to do like a video series for, as you'll see, and I'll mention that when I get to those items. So let's just go ahead and get started. And the first thing here is Malifaux, 2nd edition. So this is the 2nd edition rulebook for Malifaux. It updates the stats on all of your different figures from 1st edition. It's got the new rules, and it also introduces some really cool things like upgrades that you can spend a couple, like 1 or 2 points on different models to give them particular upgrades. And there are some that are unique to your particular master for your gang, and then some that are unique to some of like the rare guys you can take. Like if you play the rail crew, there's an upgrade that only Kang can take. So just a kind of an example. So Malifaux 2nd edition book, they had it available. I'm pretty sure they sold out either Thursday or Friday, because I know by Saturday I had a friend that wanted to go pick it up and they were already gone. They've also updated pretty much all of the starter boxes now so that they're in the new plastics, which if you've seen the plastics that Malifaux has, that Weird Miniatures has been doing for Malifaux, you know what I'm talking about. They're pretty high quality. I picked up the 10 Thunders starter box. I already had that before they switched over to 2nd edition, and I picked up some of the new stuff. But yeah, definitely high quality, and I hope to do a few videos on Malifaux, maybe some painting videos, a couple of battle report things. So that's kind of the idea there. So Malifaux 2nd edition. Okay, next thing we have is Dropzone Commander. Now, I had picked this book up last year at Gencon, so this isn't the most up-to-date rule book, but any rules updates are available on Hawk Wargames website. If you have the old rule book and don't want to go buy a new one, and you know the difference on the spine, it'll say version 1.1 for the new rule book. But Hawk Wargames actually had their own booth at Gencon this year, and they were showing off the new 2-player starter box that is going to be coming out September 28th. It's, I believe, $95, and you'll get the Marines, the UCM or UMC, I can't remember off the top of my head, UCM. So you'll get the UCM and you'll get the Scourge. It also comes with, I believe, some of the building terrain, like the thick cardstock buildings that you can make. It comes with a tape measure, and it's not like a red 18-inch measuring stick or a cheap little like round, one of those round plastic tape measures. It's a legitimate tape measure that they're putting in the box. It comes with templates and some dice and some reference sheets. So if you're have a couple of friends, or you and a friend are wanting to get into Dropzone Commander, yeah, 95 bucks gets you an awesome starting set of figures, rules, everything. They also, in their display case, had the 5th faction that will be coming out for Dropzone Commander, which is the Resistance. And so the idea behind the Resistance is they're humans that have been living on Earth ever since Earth was occupied by the Scourge. So they're humans that have been fighting against the Scourge, kind of guerrilla warfare, for the last 200 plus years. Unfortunately, I didn't have any kind of like filming equipment with me at Gencon, so after Gencon I went out and bought a camcorder. So I'll have that available next year. But you can check out some of this stuff if you go to Mini Wargaming on YouTube. They have a video showing some of the Resistance figures. It has a very like Mad Max look to it. You know, they're like salvaging whatever they can find to throw together vehicles to fight the Scourge. So yeah, Dropzone Commander. I'm really excited about this. I got a couple of friends that bought into it while we were at Gen Con, so we're going to try to start getting some games together with that. Maybe once we get a little more comfortable with the rules for it, have a battle report or two for you guys for that. So, item number 2 was Dropzone Commander. Alright, item number 3. Dreadball. This is the deluxe edition. Deluxe, right there. I had a chance to actually demo this. They had demos, a couple of demo tables available. I played one turn and was immediately convinced that this game is awesome. So I bought the starter box and I bought 3 more teams. So I have plenty of teams for my friends to play with, see if they want to get into it, and check the game out. I just recently spent the last like hour or two putting together the 2 teams that come in the starter box. You get the humans right here, the Trontech 29ers, and you get the orcs here, the green something smackers, I think. I don't remember what the default team name is, but you can always make up your own team names. But what I really liked about Dreadball is that the pace of it. It's a lot more fast paced. It felt a lot more smash mouth, just get in your opponent's face, over Blood Bowl. Blood Bowl is just real heavy. Like, there's so many different rules and modifiers to the different abilities, whereas in Dreadball it's very basic. Roll 3 dice, you try to get higher than your stat, like a 3+ or a 4+ stat. Your opponent does the same thing. You compare totals, see what happens. You may at some point have like, well, you get an additional die due to this situation, but very basic. And I think the coolest thing about Dreadball, in my opinion, was after you score a point, the ball is relaunched onto the pitch, and you don't reset the field. You don't reset and reline up across each other. The ball comes right back out, and then you have to scramble from where you are to recover the ball. So you can't overcommit to your opponent's side to score and then be too far forward to go back and grab the ball again. So you have to plan for that. So another thing I want to do some videos on, I'm going to try to get a league put together at my local game store. Dreadball. I highly recommend it. It's not all that expensive. This deluxe box was, I think, $75, and it comes with all kinds of stuff in here. It comes with 10 human players, 10 marauder players, a referee figure. You actually get 2 balls in here, not just one, in case you lose one or somehow damage it. Got roster sheets for doing a league. You have the deck of cards, because there's like coaching cards that you can play, and some dice and tokens, and of course the board and rule book. So there's also a season 2 book for this, which adds 4 more teams for a total of 8. It adds some more MVPs. It expands on the league rules. Really cool game from Mantic Games, Dreadball. So now we're going to get into some stuff that's not miniatures. So actually I have them kind of in a different order down here, so I'll dig to find it, something to bridge the gap, so to speak, between miniatures and board games. So I guess Dreadball kind of does that, but it's got actual miniatures in it. So the next thing I will show you is High Command. Now this is High Command War Machine, and there's also High Command Hordes, and I have the High Command Hordes down here as well. High Command is a deck builder. It's from Privateer Press. You can play 2 to 4 players with it, and when you play, you're going to pick which faction you want to play. You've got the 4 basic factions for War Machine in here. They don't have Retribution and Convergence yet, or Mercenaries, but I'm sure that'll be an expansion that'll be coming soon. So you pick your faction, and then you're going to pick 3 out of 5 Warcasters, and that's going to basically determine how you build your deck that you can buy cards from. So I really want to do an actual review of this. I've played it a couple times, and I've played it 2-player and I've played it 4-player, and I liked it in both variants. 2-player you get more of like a duel kind of feel, whereas in 4-player it's an actual like big, you have big battles going on in the middle. You got like 3 or 4 people fighting over one location. There's multiple locations to fight over, and that's how you get victory points. So yeah, Privateer Press, High Command, War Machine, and High Command, Hordes. The 2 games, from what I can tell, are compatible with each other because they abbreviate one of the resources. There's a War resource, which can stand for Warjack, or War Beast. So if a card comes up that says it affects the War resource, it's the same in both games. So you can totally take some of the Hordes factions and play against the War Machine factions. You probably don't want to try to play more than 4 players. I don't think the game is really intended for that, even with all the extra stuff. So yeah, just keep it to 4 or less. But if you're into Circle of Orboros, then play Circle, and your buddy's into Crix, he can play Crix against your Circle. So yeah, High Command. I'm going to try to do a video on probably just on one of the 2. Don't really need to do one for both, because they're the same game, just different factions. So, alright, so next we have from Z-Man. You hear Robinson Crusoe. Adventures on the Cursed Island. Now, I haven't actually got to play it yet, but I was told if you enjoy board games and you like the stuff Z-Man usually brings out, and you like cooperative games, you need to get Robinson Crusoe. So this was my first stop. I'm glad it was, because they had very few copies of it available. I think it'll be reprinted sometime around November. But from what I could tell, the idea is there's 6. I did look through the box a little bit, and there's 6 different scenarios that you can play. And each scenario is like a different survival scenario. So you're trying to survive on an island. And so you and the other players are trying to work together to kind of build up your shelter and make sure you have access to food, and if you need weapons for anything. And there's different roles you can play as well, like a soldier and an explorer. There's a cook you can play as. So I'm really excited to get through the rules on this, give it a try, and then possibly do a video of this for you guys as well, and kind of start stepping into the realm of board games in addition to miniatures games. So, Robinson Crusoe. And the last thing I have is, I just dinged it on the thing there, Pathfinder Adventure card game. It's a really big box. There we go. So, the Pathfinder Adventure card game. I've had a chance to play it. I just played it solo to get the rules down. The rules are not different if you play it solo. And then I played through a couple of scenarios with a friend of mine last night, and we actually went ahead and saved our characters in here. And the idea is you're playing through different scenarios and developing your character as you play through, and your character develops by modifying the different cards that you have in your deck. So, you know, let's say you have your starting deck. The cards are very basic. There's like long swords, short swords, basic spells, depending on the class. And there's a bunch of different classes you can play as too, your typical Pathfinder classes. And then as you're playing through the scenario, you may find a better weapon, and it gets put into your deck temporarily for that scenario. Then at the end of the scenario, you rebuild your deck, because your character determines how many of each different type of card you can have in the deck. So I was playing the Barbarian, who has 5 weapons in their deck, and found a scimitar, which was slightly better than the short sword. So when I was rebuilding the deck at the end of the scenario, I removed the short sword from my deck. It goes back in the box, and I kept the scimitar. So that, and then defeating different scenarios also lets you make different improvements on your character. Sometimes it'll tell you like you gain a skill feat, and so on your character card you'll have little check boxes, and the idea is you're supposed to check the box to track that you've improved that skill. What I think we're going to try doing though is putting our character cards into just clear card sleeves, and then using a wet erase marker instead of dry erase to check which skill improvements we've taken. Because if you use dry erase, then just the sleeves rubbing against each other in the box will rub some of it off, and it may rub it off to where you can't tell what upgrades you have. If you use wet erase, then you just check it, give it a couple seconds to dry, and then you'll have to use like a damp towel. Just take the card out of the sleeve, use a damp paper towel, clear it off. So yeah, I've had a lot of fun playing Pathfinder. The couple of times I've played through it, even though one time was by myself, still kind of fun. So yeah, I hope to do a video on this. I think this will probably be the next video I release. I'm actually going to probably just do a review of Pathfinder, because it's the one I'm most familiar with, of all the stuff I've picked up since Gencon. So, yep, Pathfinder, the adventure card game. Look out for it. If you're into cooperative games of any kind, if you just enjoy Pathfinder, totally pick this up. So, you know, there were a couple of other things that I looked into at Gen Con. You know, Badger had, Airbrush company had their own booth there, so I picked up their big like 86 or 85 paint Minotaur paint set. So I'm really anxious to test that out. I bought a whole bunch of Dropzone Commander stuff, so I've got plenty of stuff for that. So yeah, overall I would say Gen Con this year was very cool. In addition to the stuff I have, they also you know, they had like Catalyst Labs had the new version of Shadowrun, the role-playing game. I think they're on their 5th edition now. It's 5th or 6th edition now. Dungeons and Dragons introduced the Sundering to the Forgotten Realms. It's supposed to be a pretty big, like, world-changing event for the Forgotten Realms. So yeah, that's pretty much everything I looked into. But there's just so much stuff at Gen Con that you're constantly coming across new cool looking things. So even in the 4 days that you have there, it's still not enough time to see everything. So I appreciate you guys, you know, watching the video, and hopefully you're looking forward to some of the new videos I'm going to do for this new stuff that I picked up and that I'm getting into. And if you have any other questions about Gen Con, please feel free to leave a comment down below in the comment section. If you like this video, please like it. And if you want to see more videos, especially about some of the stuff I showed you today, or any type of painting tips and battle reports, then go ahead and subscribe as well. Subscribe, I think, is up here. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.